Snow's out, bow's out.
Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Sun's out, guns out. I am Paul Harrell's nephew. I want to talk to you today about a couple of popular concealed carry options in 380 auto. Some people would say, hey, why bother carrying a 380? The overwhelming reason is because you need the smallest pistol you can get. And of course, you can go smaller with a NAA mini revolver. You can get one in 22 shorter, 22 long rifle, or 22 Magnum. You can get guns a little bit smaller than this in 25 auto, but not by much. These days, though, if you want to, those rimfire options are frequently not considered very good options in terms of ballistics. If you want a pistol that is going to give you enough power to be a serious defensive tool, a lot of people say that 380 is the floor for that. You don't want to go to less energy or less power or whatever than 380. So 380 pocket semi-autos are a popular choice. They are the smallest pistols available that a lot of people consider actual serious defensive pistols. And some people would say, hey, don't bother with that. You know, you can get a 9mm pistol that's almost as small. Here's a Ruger LC9 I think this is an EC9. Anyway, that's about the same size as the Glock. So some people would say, just go with 9mm Luger and don't bother with 380. And there's something to be said for that. But some people like 380 for one reason or another. You can still get 380s a little bit smaller. Again, if you're going for the smallest possible pistol, well, this EC9 is a lot bigger than our LCP. So if you're trying to go as small as possible, or if you're in an environment where you really need concealment, or pocket carry is the only carry available to you, you really have to keep this thing in deep concealment, something like this might be your best bet. So anyway, these are two of the most popular sort of pocket-sized compact 380s on the market. Obviously, there are many others. Carr makes one, and Taurus makes them, and Smith & Wesson makes them. Lots of different companies make them. Beretta has their own version. SIG has them. But I picked these two because they're a couple of the most popular, and I want to compare their features. If you'll notice, when comparing size, let's compare our LCP to our Glock. Well, our Glock is probably half an inch longer in height, or taller, we might say. The Glock is a thicker pistol. It's just a little bit wider, maybe not much. If you're looking for the ultimate in concealment, I mean, if that's the point, and that's what we said, right? Why would you go with a 380? Because you need something small and light for concealment. Well, LCP is the obvious choice here. You wouldn't even consider the Glock. Why would you? Because you're trying to go for the maximum in concealment. But if you think the Glock is concealable enough, and for me, for my purposes, it generally has been, I'm a big guy, my clothing has big pockets, I can drop this in my pocket and it pretty much disappears. Can do that with either, and the LCP disappears a little bit better, but I don't have a lot of trouble concealing the Glock. What are the advantages of the Glock? This is a much bigger pistol. They both only hold 6 rounds, 6+1. So a lot of people would look at these and say, obviously the Ruger is the clear choice here because I'm getting just as much ammo. It's a more compact package. It's a less expensive gun. The Ruger sells for quite a bit less money. So, and it's a US company. It's not an Austrian company. So why would I even consider the Glock? Well, the Glock is easier to disassemble, easier to maintain. The Glock has this excellent finish, and this one, I should give a shout out to Connor for providing this one for review. This is about the best worn example that I've ever seen of a Model 42 Glock. Somebody carried the heck out of this. It's got a lot of wear here on the slide stop, and the slide has a great deal of the finish missing. That doesn't hurt this pistol at all. It still is corrosion resistant, etc., as it ever was. But it is interesting to see so much wear on this because somebody did carry it a lot. Anyway, this finish resists corrosion much better than the bluing on a Ruger. In fact, you know, if you go on the web, you can see lots of memes about how Ruger bluing rusts so easily. I don't know if that's fair to say, but I have seen rust on some of these Rugers. I've experienced that, so there is some truth to it. To my mind, the Glock probably has a better trigger, but they actually both have quite good triggers for pocket pistols, and which one is better is a matter of preference. I'm not going to say that one is definitely better than the other. The Glock has a usable slide stop, and it locks open after the last round. So that's an advantage here if you like that sort of thing. It has a bigger mag release. I don't know if that's actually a material difference. Obviously, we have a slightly bigger trigger guard on the Glock, so you can get maybe a gloved finger in there a little bit more easily. But ultimately, what's going to set the Glock apart from me is a more rust-resistant finish. Remember, you're probably going to carry this very close to your body. If you live in one of the warmer states, which I do, you're going to sweat on it a lot. I just had to send an LCP2 back to Ruger because the extractor was frozen, presumably with rust. The gun, you know, I wasn't the first user of this when it came to me as a used gun, and that extractor was frozen. It wouldn't feed a cartridge. It wouldn't fire. That's something you're not ever likely to see with a Glock. The Glock has much bigger, bolder sights, and these sights are easy to change out. So these aren't the original factory sights. Somebody's changed these out for night sights, steel sights, which I much prefer. Big, bold front sight. I love seeing that. These sights are, to my mind, in every way superior to these sights. Stubby little vestigial sights on the LCP. These are usable, as I demonstrated in a recent video. I was shooting from 15 yards, keeping every hit on a silhouette target, and with a little bit of practice, pretty much keeping them all in the A zone on an IPSC style silhouette target. But you know, it's work. It's not easy. It's much easier to hit with these sights. This gun gives me just a little bit more to hang on to. I can actually get all my fingers on this one, even though it's only a little bit bigger than the Ruger. On the Ruger, there's no way I can get all my fingers. That pinky's just dangling. So in terms of carry, the Ruger is much more convenient to carry, but the Glock is going to give you greater rust resistance. The Glock is easier to shoot. I can tell you from shooting both of these on the range, I haven't shot them head to head to see which one is more accurate, easier to get hits with, but I can tell you that it's much more pleasant to shoot the Glock. If somebody pulled up with a truckload of 380 ammo and said, "Hey, would you help me shoot up all this ammo?" and these were my two choices of pistol, I probably could get through about 50 rounds of the LCP before I said, "Well, good luck with the rest of that ammo, man." But the Glock, I might just shoot it all day. I might shoot it till it's too hot to hold, because this is much more pleasant to shoot. It's got a better texture on it. It doesn't feel like it's going to fly out of my hands. On the range, or even shooting defensively, which one of these would I choose? It's a very easy choice. The Glock every time. Much better sights. That extra, whatever, quarter inch, half inch of barrel, that's not much. If we're talking about the difference, you know, in a 4 inch barrel and a 4 1/4, a 5 inch and a 5 1/4, I would say that's not meaningful. But when the barrels are this short to start with, Uncle Paul has established that extra 1/3 of an inch or whatever can be the difference between hollow point expansion and not, because we're so close to expansion threshold on those bullets. So the Glock is the clear winner in terms of shootability. The LCP is easier to carry, and which is more important to you? You have to decide for yourself. If I could only own one of these, it's a tough choice. I would probably end up picking the Ruger, because when I need a tiny compact pistol, I need it to be really small. And I can hide this one in places that I can't hide this one. Keep your mind out of the gutter. But in general, I've been able to hide a Model 42 Glock no problem. So, I mean, there is a reason that I've carried both. There's a reason that I've owned both. I'm not going to tell you which one to pick. You have to decide. If I need a bigger pistol, I'm going to carry something bigger. But if I need a tiny pistol, this LCP is a really, really good choice. Anyway, so I hope that's some information for you that's useful when it comes to selecting a 380 pistol. If you need something this small, not everybody does. Some people are better served with something bigger. Some people would just go to a Model 43 Glock. It's only a little bit bigger than this, and they'd say, "Hey, now I've got 9 Luger. I don't have to mess around with that 380 auto." Or you might go to EC9 or an LC9. There are a bunch of pistols in roughly this size category that can give you 9 Luger performance. Or you can move down to the LCP or something like that, a Kel-Tec or what have you, and you've still got 380 performance in a very compact, very lightweight package. Just food for thought there, guys. I I'm not going to tell you which one to pick because I don't know your circumstances. I don't know which you need. I guess the right answer is both, right? You always get both if you can. Guys, that's all I've got to say about that. Keep your powder dry. Do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.
Go ahead, shoot.
Yeah, the thing is, if I shoot an arrow out here, I'm not going to find it till the spring. So I don't want to lose an arrow.